This is one of the big ones of 2023, a long time in the making with some impressive visual effects, but with the massive weight of the Chinese fantasy world on its shoulders. A classic tale told time and time and time again, but I guarantee you've never seen it look this good. Hi, I'm the Artie Dans from the Artie Dans and Asian Film Fans YouTube channels, and I welcome you to this review of the 2023 Chinese fantasy action film, Creation of the Gods Part 1, Kingdom of Storms. Let's check out what this movie's about. Amidst a backdrop of rebellion, Yin Shou, the Shang dynasty's second prince, inadvertently unleashes a demon fox. Its possession of Daji, the rebel leader's daughter, sets the kingdom on a dramatic course. Emerging from the shadows is Zhang Jia, a sage searching for a leader to restore balance in a world teetering on the brink. Before we start, two very big special thanks go to China Lion Film Entertainment. They provided me with a preview copy of the film to watch. They are the official distributors of the film in Australia and New Zealand, including theatrical and video on demand. Cinema release for this film is September 14, so please check your local cinema for times. And also a big thank you to them for the synopsis, which was better and far more concise than what I could ever have come up with. So firstly, let me get the easy part of the review out of the way. This movie's terrific, and it's a hell of a spectacle to enjoy. Now, coming in at 2 hours and 25 odd minutes, the movie doesn't feel that long at all. And there's always something happening on the screen. There's never time for the movie to dwell on anything, which means you either have to pay a lot of attention when you're watching the movie, or you go watch it twice, which no doubt a lot of people will. It's that kind of film. Now, rather than looking at this film from an Eastern perspective, I'm going to take a Western approach. So bear with me on this one. I don't have the background with the story. I've never read Fengshen Yangyi books or learnt about the history of the characters. In fact, the only things that I really know about the lore are the following three animated films. Zhang Jia, Legend of Deification, and that's a terrible subtitle, by the way, whoever came up with that one. Nija, Birth of the Demon Child, and the recently released Yang Zhang film from Light Chaser called New Gods, Yang Zhang. So the first two of those films are more faithful to the original source, but the Yang Zhang movie is just a character only, with a completely original storyline. Now, the reason that I mention these three characters is because they have a very important part in this film. And dare I say it, from my perspective, they're easily the best three characters in the film. They're certainly the most enjoyable, although personally, from my perspective, I don't think that Nija and Yang Zhang get enough screen time in this film at all. Now, if you're new to Chinese films, if you're new to the lore behind this, or you're wanting to know the closest comparison to a more popular Western IP, then I can compare it to two. Now, firstly, before you get all your pitchforks, I'm not saying that this movie is a like-for-like comparison for those, or that this story is based on the two that I'm about to mention. The Fengshen Yangyi stories, or Investiture of the Gods, depending on what you want to call it, they're hundreds of years old. They date back to the 1500s, maybe even longer, in the Ming Dynasty. So it's more likely that these stories influence the two properties that I'm about to mention. And they are, I think you know what they are. They are The Lord of the Rings and they are Game of Thrones. And the comparison's this. All of these titles have epic storylines. They span multiple chapters and dozens of characters. Now, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I think you can certainly make some comparisons with the characters. I'm not going to dare to do that, as I don't know enough about Lord of the Rings, but as a sprawling epic fantasy movie, mix in the fantasy style of Game of Thrones, specifically the case where they like to kill off a lot of characters, means that anyone who's a fan of those IPs will find a familiar reference point. But this review is about Creation of the Gods, and it really is an incredible film. It's just lit down by a couple of instances of very spotty visual effects. Now, bear in mind, this movie is a complete CGI fest. It's everywhere in this film, and in some cases it looks great, and I'll give you a couple of examples. Najar's golden rings, or the war scenes, they look terrific, but then you kind of get some effects that really kind of take it out of the moment. And they are, for example, when Yang Zhang is cutting a log with his staff. Most of the scenes with the actual fox demon itself, not Daji, but when you see the actual fox. And when Shen Gongbao is demonstrating his head levitation trick to the king, I think you've seen that bit in the trailer. There's just something that's not quite polished about those scenes, but it's not enough to stop you from enjoying this film. Now, the story, it's well told, and as the movie gets on, it's a little bit easier to follow. So don't worry if you feel a little bit overwhelmed or lost in the first 20 or 30 minutes, but also be forewarned that this is part of a trilogy, so the movie ends by setting up the next film. Thus, make sure you stay behind to watch all of the post-credit end sequences. So if fantasy is your thing, and that's the thing that gets you excited when you're picking a movie to watch or a book to read, then this is definitely the title that you want to go and see. Now, some knowledge of the Fengshen Yangyi might be a good idea. At a minimum, perhaps watch the 3 animated films that I've mentioned previously in the video, so that you're at least getting understanding of who a couple of the characters in this film are and what they can do. But if you're going in cold, I don't think you'll feel left out. The movie does a great job of introducing characters and letting you know where they fit into the storyline. You just have to make sure that you're paying enough attention. So to give it a rating, it's fairly easy. I'd give this 4 stars. And this is definitely one of the best or the better Chinese movies of the year, putting it in the same category as films like Never Say Never or Full River Red. I think this needs to be enjoyed at least once in the cinema, which is something that I'm going to do because watching it on TV doesn't quite elicit the same feeling of awe, which is what I assume director Wu Er Shan was going for. So make this one of your must-watch movies. And since this took almost 8 years to come out, let's hope the sequels don't take anywhere near as long. Now, if you've seen this movie, what did you think of it? Press like if you enjoyed the film, or even if you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. You'll probably tell me to never compare a film to Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones ever again, and that's fine. It's okay. It was just a comparison for people who might be on the fence about seeing this film, but it's definitely one that you should go and watch. I'll catch you in our next video reviews. Thank you for watching.